All right. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy Tuesday and welcome. This is Crystal Jordan, of course. This is Rolling Out and from Crystal with Love XO. And I am coming to you on a Tuesday because I have some conversations that could not wait. Conversations that could not wait. We have back-to-back conversations tonight. So happy to see all of you guys in the chat waiting for this conversation because you guys know we talked with Dr. Nicole earlier in the year and we recapped, put a ring on it. And one of the things that I love about Dr. Nicole and her partner Crystal is the way they approach relationships. And so it was important to have Dr. Nicole come back and us to have a wrap up, because we talked to the couples, we talked to Alonzo and Shay, we talked to Shorty Mac alone, we talked to Otis and Charlie. We know about the baby who is here and so much more. Right after this interview tonight, we have, as Dr. Nicole would say, Mr. Kenneth is on. But first, I wanted to have Dr. Nicole and her partner Crystal on because Put a Ring On is great. It's great entertainment. But at the heart of that, we understand that there's a need to really help promote positivity and healthy relationships. And that's what these two ladies are about. So without further ado, let me bring the dynamic duo on. Please help me welcome Dr. Nicole and Crystal.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
I am good. I'm so happy to have both of you here. As I mentioned, we have a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do.
We have a lot to talk about. It was an explosive season, one that I think had dealt with issues that so many people are dealing with in their relationships, right?
Yes.
So I want to let me just start, Dr. Nicole, because as I mentioned, we have Mr. Kenneth coming up later on tonight.
Yes.
But I want to ask you, what has been the feedback that you've gotten after this particular season of Put a Ring on It?
It's still extremely positive because what we see is a lot of couples saying, you know what? We know these couples.
Yeah.
And people also saying, I could see myself in some of the behaviors, in some of the choices, whether that was in my past or whether that's something that I'm dealing with right now. And everybody pretty much says the same thing. You know what? The work is something that they can use in their own lives.
Absolutely.
And in our community, that's huge. Talking about relationships, trying to create legacy is huge for us. So to hear people say, the gems, the conversation, the transparency, the accountability, the insight, the self-awareness, all of those words, it's inspiring to know that we can grow forward together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me ask you, Crystal, because you work with Dr. Nicole, you guys are partners. And one of the things that stands out about Dr. Nicole's approach to coaching is that it basically caters to both the male and the female.
Absolutely.
At the same time, because so often we know that there are people that cater to women and pander to women, right? And the man is like, well, that's not working for me because they don't get my issues. They're not listening to me. We so often hear men say they're not listened to, right?
Yes.
And then a lot of times on the other side, someone is listening to the man and ignoring the fact that the woman really is unfulfilled. So what do you think it is about the way Dr. Nicole approaches that makes both sides feel, first of all, heard?
Yes.
And then also they're able to both take that advice and use it, because the male responses, I mean, we had Alfonso on the show and he was such an advocate. It was such a beautiful outcome to hear him speak with such passion about how much Dr. Nicole helped him, and to the point that he wanted to go ahead and enroll in therapy afterwards. That's huge.
That is huge. It is amazing, and it's such a blessing that the men feel safe.
Yes.
And we hear that all the time in our coaching business. They feel safe, and what she creates in the show is a safe space for each of the individuals to be called to their highest self. So it's not picking a side. It's not, listening more to the woman or listening more to the man. She is advocating for each of them to be at their greatest, to be their best, to do their work. And at the end of the day, that's what we all have to do in relationship. It always starts with us. Right. And it always starts with the tools. And so the gems that she provides and the gems that she drops in the show is tools. It is tools they're not male tools and they're not female tools. They're tools that we all need to be our greatest self so that we can be in relationship with others, healthy relationship with others. So I think that's the safe space that men feel. She's not judging anybody. And whether they get married or they decide to go their separate ways, it is still a success because they've made the best decision for themselves.
That's huge. A lot of the work that we do, one of the things that makes it different is that we're constantly listening to what the relationship is calling for. And that's independent of the two individuals in the relationship. The relationship is a thing, right? It is a thing that is calling to be advocated for. Because when it is good, it respects both people, it nurtures both people, it gives room for both people to grow. So it's a thing. And if you can listen to what it is asking for based on rules of engagement that make a lot of sense, scientifically makes a lot of sense, because the relationship, not to make it a third person, but it's interesting. The relationship will say, that's criticism. That doesn't work well for me. And the me is the relationship. So then you're able to say, well, how do you experience that? I feel like she's always criticizing me. I feel like he's always coming down on me. Okay. Oh, then we heard right. And then to be able to say to the other party, and that doesn't work in a healthy relationship. That's why we're struggling. That's why we're struggling. So it doesn't have to be personal in an attack on the woman or an attack on the man. It's just saying that thing is not going to work in a relationship that is not toxic. Right? It's not going to work in a relationship where you can both thrive. And in the work that we do with singles and with couples, is constantly looking at the tools that will burn the house down or the tools that will help you build another floor and expand the footprint and build a deck and build community and connection and intimacy. If it's not that, then it's the opposing side. And literally, we have so much favor with folks because the way we see it and the way we hear it is different. It's just different.
It is refreshing, and I think it is something that even relationships that look great to the eye, right, on the outside, because now we're very focused on making sure that we both we look great together, right? We're posting, we're doing that. I did a story this morning on Chelsea Handler and Joe Coy, and they were posting their dogs together, their families, everything looked perfect. They split up a few days before their 1-year anniversary, and people were shocked because we're in a culture right now that promotes the perfect look, right? As opposed to doing the work. So we have people, thank you so much for joining the chat. There's some over here. They are over here chatting. And I know we want to talk about the fact that you guys have something coming to help the rest of us that are not on Put a Ring on It. Because I'm a huge advocate of maintenance work. You know, I recently got into a relationship and we're realizing we love each other. We're super excited. We got married, we're blending families, and we need a little maintenance, you know, maintenance to stay in a good place, because you don't want to wait until there's issues that are you've hurt each other. We don't want to injure each other in the process. So I believe in doing that work and trying to do it on a regular basis. But before we get into that, I do want to do a quick summary. The chat is ablaze with questions on Shorty Mac and also Mr. Kenneth, like I said, who is joining us after this conversation to share his side. But I think the sentiments of the chat are asking, do you feel like the show and the platform, Dr. Nicole, do you feel like it failed Shorty in some of the things that she mentioned she was dealing with during the show?
You know, that's a unique question that she would have to answer, because I really, you know, Crystal and I talk about the show often. It is very important to us to put positivity into the world. But we're very clear that what the show does is it magnifies and creates a bigger space for everybody to be fully who they are on every side. It's magnified, not exaggerated. There's a difference. It's not exaggerated. A magnifying glass just puts it on the object so the object can be more clearly seen. Right?
That is deep, Dr. Nicole. I just had to say, I'm the petty one. That is deep, and that is a huge difference.
It's huge, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a huge difference. It's like looking at your computer and enlarging the letter T. It's still a T. You can see it more clearly because you expanded it to be able to see it, but the letter is not distorted or changed. So what the show does in this dynamic is it elevates the conversation that often only two parties experience. Right? So it now moves and shifts the opportunity to be able to say, you got to be your most authentic self, because this space is going to enlarge the territory for you to be more fully who you are. Right? So if what you do is build things, that's not going to be missed. If what you do is tear things down, that's not going to be missed. If you don't have self-awareness, nobody's going to be confused. Right? So it does that. And in a lot of ways, that's what coaching does.
Right.
So you say you want to be the first millionaire in your family. But at the first sight of fear, you abandon yourself, you abandon your team, and you run back to familiar. And you're not willing to shift your mindset. You're not willing to activate. You're not willing to accelerate. And you want to be the first one to do it. The actions are not aligning with the vision. And what the coaching will do is give you tools. Excuse me.
You're fine.
And accountability to do what you say you want to do. Just like in a relationship.
It is like church. We're going to pass that bucket around, pass the offering around, because again, that is, I believe that, you know, my background is publicity. I've been a celebrity publicist for years. And I think when people see themselves on television, a lot of times they feel like it is exaggerated, but everyone else around you realizes it was just magnified.
Yeah.
Everyone else knows it, but it's our perception of ourselves. And a lot of times I think our perception of ourselves is rooted in what we want to be, as opposed to how we're actually showing up, right?
Yes.
So let me just quickly, I appreciate that answer, Dr. Nicole. I would just ask you if you could share what is your desire, what is your wish for the couples that you had an opportunity to coach this past season. Obviously, we can start with Shorty and Kenneth, since both of them went their separate ways. What is your wish for both of them moving forward in their lives?
Healing. Healing. You know, our wish is the same with most couples.
Mm-hmm.
When you are healed and whole, the things that bring forth ease are not scary.
Yeah.
They're opportunities and options.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is when you are in a state of being injured, you're injured, or there's trauma or different things, that the sign of a remedy becomes scary.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of why, you watch parents when they take their kids for their shots.
Mm-hmm.
The kid is terrified of the needle.
Mm-hmm.
The parent doesn't want them to feel pain, but the parent knows there's a bigger conversation.
Yeah.
Right? So they've got to take the momentary pain for the long-term protection and gain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you have that mindset, going to the doctor for a vaccination is not the end of the world.
Right.
Right? It is process. When you know that this is who you're supposed to be with, maintenance is not a choice.
Mm-hmm.
It is a necessity, like breathing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah.
And you don't fear it because you know that if your car needs it
Mm-hmm.
every 20,000 miles, you think we don't need it?
Yeah.
I got an ex-husband. You got a ex-wife.
Mm-hmm.
And you have I have a father of my first son.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we got all of these blended situations.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but we don't need any maintenance. We'll just run forever because we're a Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
Even a Tesla needs to be recharged.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And with that healing, Crystal, too, I would hope that they find themselves in this process. Because I see a lot of the couples come in and they want you to fix the partner, but then they find themselves. They find themselves in the process. So I would hope that Kenneth and Shorty and all the couples find themselves, because there's an old saying, what you shall not hear, you shall feel.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Absolutely.
And how many of us have dated the same person over and over again? They look different. They have a different name, a different social security number, but it's the same person. We go through these cycles because we don't learn the lesson. And so I would hope that they see themselves and truly learn the lesson, find themselves, find their worth, so they don't have to repeat this cycle.
I love that, and I think we saw that demonstrated. I think most clearly, just from my personal opinion, with Alfonso and Shay, because that's one of the things. I mean, he was very clear in his interview that he feels so much better after being able to get it out. And we know for so long in our community, especially, we're talking amongst us, even though this is not exclusive, but it feels good sometimes to talk to us, that our Black men do not often find safe spaces. A lot of times, not even with themselves, to be honest about their own feelings and how they feel. So to hear him say, I love going to counseling. I love going to therapy.
So proud of him.
Yes.
It's the best kept secret. Like, it really, really is. It's like, for me, I love shoes. Crystal loves shoes. It's like finding that spot that has all of the designer shoes that don't hurt your feet.
That part.
And they're in your size.
In your size at 80% off.
Oh,
It's that kind of fine, because what we don't want to connect with is in our communities, especially for little Black boys, they're taught to adapt to really toxic environments. Adapt. Adapt. Not to heal, not to be whole, but to adapt. So if that is how you're nurtured and incubated, when you get to be fully a man, you're still adapting. Until you stop and say, this, I don't even know what this is, but I need somebody to help me figure out what this is.
Right.
And you know, Crystal, you mentioned appearances earlier, right?
My gosh.
How many of us were raised in a house where what goes on in this house stays in this house? For appearance sake, we're taught not to discuss our problems, that we've got to figure it out with duct tape in the back of a shoe. We got to figure it out. We're not going to ask anybody to borrow a hammer and a screwdriver. If we got to use bubble gum, we're going to use bubble gum. We're going to fix it in this house. And nobody else will ever know. We're going to put our church clothes on Sunday and show up in church like the happy family, right? And then to layer that even further, we teach our men to suck it up. Ain't nothing wrong with you. We don't want to see you cry. We don't want to see you have emotions. Suck it up. And then the minute they get in a relationship, we want to know how they feel.
It's true. That's right. True. They don't even know how they feel. I was interviewing the cast of Johnson, and one of the gentlemen said, at some point you have been taught to ignore your emotions, so you don't even know, you don't allow yourself to experience them because you think you're tripping. So it's like, oh, let me just push that down. We push it down. Let me suppress it. But when you get in a relationship, it comes out one way or another. It comes out. So understanding that, and I like I said, I personally am a huge advocate just from living a few years and understanding it is not because you have a problem. It is because you don't want to have problems that you get the help. And thankfully, we all have the opportunity to sit with Dr. Nicole and to get some of this good coaching and just good common sense that I don't think a lot of times we are exposed to, because a lot of times our mama didn't know it. She was struggling. She was going through what she was going through. Our sister, our auntie, they didn't know. And so it's important to be able to, when you find something, you hear something that resonates with your spirit, to say, let me get more of that. Let me figure out how I can tune in to that. So let me ask you, ladies, what can we share with our viewers? They're talking. Hey, Tiffany. Hey, Diana. Hey, Kathy.
Hey,
hi, everybody.
They are on here talking, but we want to know what is coming up that couples together and or singles can participate in, so they can get some of this good coaching and some of this maintenance work that is needed for anybody that wants to have a healthy relationship.
We are so excited to invite everyone to join us this Saturday, July 23rd. We are inviting couples, whether you are in a put a ring on it relationship, you've been living together or dating and you're trying to figure out if you want to go to the next level, or you've been married for 25 years and you just need help reconnecting and communicating. You're starting to feel like, why can't it be as easy as it used to be for us to communicate, right? And to be intimate with one another. We are bringing together couples in an intimate setting. We're only bringing together 10 couples. It's similar to a put a ring on it situation. We're going to be in the living room. We're not going to be in a conference room. Right. This is come, let's sit down, do the work. Let's learn some tools, have some fun. Yeah. That's the difference. We like to bring, we come together, we learn how to move forward in a healthy way with the tools, the right tools. Yeah. So we're inviting couples to join us, just 10 couples to join us. We got a super cute, sexy location here in Buckhead, Atlanta. It's from 9 to 5 on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we are bringing together our singles.
Hey,
You
yeah.
know, if you have been asking yourself, Lord, where is my Adam? Did you make one for me? Is there some, or you feeling kind of hopeless sometimes? You know, especially here in Atlanta area, we hear it all the time. It's difficult for women to find that special somebody. It's a lot of games being played. It's very difficult, and you're asking yourself, where is my special person?
Yeah.
Where is my special person? And you just want some help. You may not even know how to date anymore, right? This pandemic changed the game. Now you know they're dating by text, so you don't even know how to date anymore. Come and be with us on Sunday, July 24th. We're going to be given the tools. We are going to be talking about, you know, how to co-create the healthy relationships, how to know whether or not you can trust them, how with your feelings, how to date.
Yeah.
Right? How to date so that it's not, so you're not dreading going out on the dates.
Yeah.
And you're not feeling insecure, and you're not showing up hoping that somebody chooses you.
That's a trigger word. That whole pick me, I want to be chosen, and feeling some kind of way. I can definitely attest to the being single. I was single in Atlanta for over a decade, and had gotten to the point where I just did not, I had tricked myself into thinking I did not necessarily need a relationship, right? So I was like, okay, Crystal, I'm just going to focus on my friends, my work, my hobbies, my children, and I'm okay. You know, I was like, I want to build the best life that I can, and I don't want to wait. I don't want to be sitting waiting, because in my household, that was looked at as desperate. You don't want to be a desperate woman that's sitting around waiting to be chosen. But the reality was, I still wanted love. I wanted to feel, there is nothing in the world that compares to the feeling of being loved and being able to love someone else. And so I had the opportunity to go and sit with someone I consider an elder and someone I respect. And she was able to give me some tools. And literally after a year of that experience, I ended up in a relationship and got married. Now, I'm not saying that would happen for everyone, but what I'm saying is that what you all are doing is necessary, because of course, being a, 30 something year old woman at that time, I felt like I knew how to date. Like I was doing what came, and I didn't think I needed someone to tell me, but the reality was I needed some help. I needed a little some help from someone that had the tools and knew how to identify that. And so I'm definitely an advocate of people saying, sometimes you have to be brave enough to say, what I'm doing isn't working. I need some help.
When you got those tools, you were confident, Crystal, and confidence is sexy.
Yes. Cause then you don't need dominance.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, Dr. Nicole, there you go.
You don't need that.
That's it. Control. You don't need to control when you have the confidence, in a real confidence, not the fake, but
where
the
you
real.
can be authentic.
Absolutely.
Where the word vulnerability doesn't scare you.
Yeah.
I mean, we literally connect with our tribe, and we will be doing that on Sunday with what is really at the core of this conversation about vulnerability for Black women. What does it look like? What does it need to look like? What is the meaningfulness of it? Why it's critical? There are so many things that we are willing to receive help for to get to the goal. I'm fixated for some reason on that sign behind you, from Crystal with Love. And I'm sure you had to find a designer. Then you had to get it mocked up. You had to look at the size and the colors and the branding, and does it fit? All of those people are destiny helpers. So that we could sit and see that brand behind you. It is like that for everything that is meaningful. But we want to then remove that from the conversation of relationships. It just doesn't make any sense. It's been taught to us.
Yeah.
It's been strategic, but it does not meet the desired outcome.
And it costs us.
Oh
It
my
costs us when we
gosh.
don't have the tools. It costs us time. It costs us money. It costs us relationships, heartbreak.
Yes.
Right.
You know, think about relationships that are that you don't even have anymore. People you don't even speak to anymore because you didn't have the tools to work through issues, the heartbreaks that we've gone through, the time, like you said, 10 years, the time. So it costs us when we don't have the tools.
And
Absolutely.
we need to practice like with everything else. Sis,
Yeah.
bruh, we need to practice.
Yeah.
And it's not about whether, we say this all the time, it's not about whether you'll need the tools.
Yes.
We can put it in writing. You will need them.
You will need them.
It's about when you need them, will you have them? Right? That's why people that, I love brothers that are builders. Because if you ever meet a man that builds things, and you look in his garage, you don't know what half that stuff is. I don't. I don't know what half that stuff is. But he'll tell you, oh, I got this on sale because, this drill bit, you use that for this. And then you say something like, well, have you ever used it? Oh, no. But I will, though.
I know it's needed.
I know it's needed, and I will. And the whole garage is filled with tools that were bought on sale for when the need arises. Right?
That's true.
We
I have that in my garage right now.
Right now.
Kind of stuff down there. And it's funny that you say that because my husband's daughter's car was in an accident. Her grill got ripped off and she was just, oh my God. And so my husband went, next thing we know, he just started tooling around. He went out to the garage with a toolbox. And the next thing we knew, the grill was put back on. The it was knocked out.
Come
He
on.
was able to do, and he said, I fixed it because things that he had not used, probably, I don't know, definitely not since we moved in here, he was able to fix it using those things. And it's just like, I had no clue that was even the understanding, but because he knew he had the tools, he was able to fix it. And so I love that you use that analogy a lot throughout the season of building. And that's something that we can, you can see it. We can see the car damaged. It happens. You hit something, but the fact that he had the tools on hand.
Yes.
And how much would it have cost you to have somebody else fix it?
And that's what I told her. I said, the fact that you have a father that can do that is priceless, because that would have been at least, she would have had to get a new bumper. She would have had to buy a new grill. But so that saved her time. It saved her money. It actually built her confidence, because now I get to get back in my car. I don't have to drive my car around.
Yes.
Because he had the tools already. So I love that. What a great analogy that we can just
absolutely
see.
Yeah.
And when something else happens, he'll have a greater level of confidence that even if it's more significant, right, it wasn't by accident that he knows how to fix it. He now has some practice. Right? So it's the same thing. And what we say to singles and to couples, if you don't get the tools, but you have to build, it is straight cruelty. It's cruel and unusual punishment for you to yourself and for you to the other person. Because what you're basically saying is, I know my toolbox is empty. I know the assignment is to build. I don't want you to build with anybody else. I don't want you to go to Home Depot. I don't want you to go to Lowe's. I don't want you to do anything differently. And I'm not going to do anything differently. And I want you to call this God's best for us.
It is cruel, and it's irrational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same thing for singles. Same possibility. You know, there are certain things that have become patterns. Well, Dr. Nicole, Crystal, I don't know that. And we'll say, how many times have you seen this in the past 20 years? And, you know, we move a little bit. Then it's like, well, see, the exception was, how many times have you seen it? Probably 4 or 5 times. Okay, then it's a pattern.
Yeah.
Because those are all different people. The one thing that's consistent is you. And what we would talk about with the show was, wherever you go,
You go.
you go.
Yeah. And here's the cherry on top, Crystal. Once we learn how to use the tools, we can teach our sons and daughters how to use them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's how we create generational legacy.
Absolutely.
That's how we change the cycles. We heal the generational curses. We change our community. We have to, it stops with me. It stops with you. We do our work, and then we can teach our children how to love, how to, because who taught us how to love?
Our parents did not have the tools. A lot of our parents did not have the tools. You know, I think there's two things I want to say that I want to there's the comments are just Lorinda says she needs this session. I want us to talk about how people can sign up. But it's funny because I as I prepare to get ready to talk to Kenneth, I watched another interview he did, and he mentioned that he didn't have a father, you know, growing up. And it's obvious, I don't care how old you get, those experiences that we had as a child shape how we are as adults and how we show up in our relationships. And a lot of times we think that if we're single, we get in a relationship, okay, now the work is done. I know so many people are like, all of a sudden, you know, I'm in a relationship, I got the person, and now I'm good. But as I am a testament to, you're not good, because those things that you needed to work on, you are still, like you said, you show up and you're still you. So I would just want to encourage, yes, we definitely, you know, as singles, a lot of times the goal is to not be single, but I don't think the goal should be not to be single. The goal is to work on yourself regardless if you are single or if you are in a relationship. So there's not priority on either of those. We all need the help so that we can start to share and teach our young ones different. So like I said, the chat is ablaze right now. Great conversation. We're hitting the like button. It's a continuous working on things. Until we unite, there is no us, and then there will be a separate mindset. I thank you guys so much for showing up and supporting real conversations that are able to move our communities forward. So, all right, ladies, let people know, how can they be a part of these events coming up here in Atlanta this coming weekend?
Well, definitely connect with Crystal's link. Crystal, if you can share your link with your audience so that they can click on it and save their spot. Again, this is not going to be a conference room full of 100 people. It's intentional. It's intentional that you come into the space and you are seen and poured into and connected with, heard, understood. And then again, what we laser focus on is the goal.
Yeah.
And the goal is to help you better relate so that you can get the meaningful, what we call yummy love. Your ultimate, most meaningful yet, that yummy in your life. Absolutely. And sometimes where you see the opportunity is with you in the past. Where you see it is not knowing some of the things that have been scientifically proven that we just don't know. So it's almost like we're working with what we have and what we've inherited, which was paper and pencil, and we have no idea that Google exists. Right? In some of these conversations, we're well-meaning, smart, we've got degrees, we've got experience, this person knows us, that person knows us. But some of the key things that will turn the dial so that you can have a flood of opportunity, you don't even know that the dial is a little off. You don't know. So it's not until you get into rooms like ours where there's full acceptance without judgment, but being able to say, the reason you keep entering into these dynamics is because the way you trust is flawed. It's not you. No need to blame you. You didn't know any different. You've been trusting people until they give you reason not to. I raised my hand. That's how I was raised. You trust people until they give you reason not to. That is the worst trust equation to ever use. You have higher risk, higher opportunity for abandonment, higher opportunity for disappointment. It is the worst, but it seems logical.
It does. It sounds, because we've heard it so often. I said, yeah, me too. Yeah.
It seems logical. So when we say, here is the metric, this is a paradigm changer. This is a shift. Use this. Don't use that. Then it's like, I didn't even know that existed. We know. We know, sis. It's okay. Bro, we know. Use this from now on.
Yeah.
And DM us, email us, let us know how well it's working. Because we're not going to ask you if it's going to work. We already know it's going to work. This is what we do.
Right.
It's when you get into those kind of conversations with us that you start to feel confidence, not because you are afraid that anybody really sees you, but you're confident now because you're like, look at me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be all right.
I'm doing it.
I'm doing the doggone thing.
Yeah. And Crystal, we invest in things every day that give us zero return on investment.
Oh my
right?
Oh.
When you invest in yourself and in being your best and highest self, there is always a guaranteed return on your investment, because you are a guarantee. You are the guarantee that you're looking for in your relationships, in your business, in your family. You are the guarantee. So when you invest in you, you can never go wrong.
Ever.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. We have been, again, that's how we've been taught. Like, we've been taught that you pay to go to the doctor, you have insurance, you pay, there's a copay, you pay, you go, anything, you take your car to get fixed, and you understand that. But I think, especially with our community, we are just now learning, which is fine, because like you said, we didn't know. We're just now understanding that we also need to invest, not just in my physical, because we're spending, as Black women, we're spending thousands of dollars in the Black beauty supply.
Yeah.
We are visiting the plastic surgeon at a pace. We are spending millions of dollars on trying to fix the outside, wanting that to relate to a better feeling inside, and it's not working. And so we need to invest on things that are going to fix us inside, so that will radiate outside, and then we won't need some of these things that we're investing so much in for the outside. So I appreciate and have so much respect for you ladies.
Thank you, sis.
To be in the room. My husband and I need to be in the room, because I'm realizing this time around, this is my second marriage, I know some of the things that I messed up with the first time. No one is always right. And I want to work on those things along the way, so that you don't do the damage. Sometimes you do so much damage to your partner as you're trying to figure things out that it's hard to undo, and vice versa. So, and it helps you to build together when I see the look on Shay and Alfonso's faces. It was a joy to interview them, because you can just see that they took what you sewed into them and they amplified it.
Yeah.
And the result is, it shows up, and that's something that everyone has the ability to do, not just people that are on the television show, but everyone has the ability to invest in themselves. So I'm going to place the link here with you guys. I'm going to place the link here in the chat, and when you come back, I'm going to keep posting it throughout the week, so that you guys can come back. And if you're in Atlanta, you can definitely take advantage of an opportunity to get some of these gems up close and personal. Have a personal session that allows you to go back and put that work into your own relationship, and then also to be an example and a help to other people around you. So
yeah. Crystal, also we want to share with your listeners, we have a buy one, bring a friend until tomorrow.
Nice.
So listen, if you know you know that you need to be there, and we see some of you in the chat saying, I know I need to be there. This is your opportunity to not only show up for you, but bless a friend.
Yes.
Bring your girlfriend.
Bring your girlfriend. Or if you're in a relationship, bring another couple, because we are so much more powerful in communities that are healthy.
Absolutely.
So if you and your husband want to come, and bring your son and daughter-in-law, bring them.
Yeah.
We're healthier in community. Or you're a single mom and your adult daughters need to be here, bring them.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
And if you live in a neighboring city, you are in Alabama, you are in Tennessee, you're in Charlotte,
Carolina,
in Charleston, you will come to Atlanta for a concert. Come to Atlanta for you this time. Nothing wrong with entertainment, but come to Atlanta for you. And if you're like, I don't know if I need it, what do you have to lose? If you leave with one thing that is meaningful, and trust me, we haven't met those folks yet. Folks come and they're like, wow. And they're laughing still. They're like, who would have thought, all jokes aside, who would have thought I get to go into a space where I'm talking about something that is usually very hard to do, and I'm laughing on my way out like, wow, I got. Because I came in feeling like, I don't know what this is going to be. And now I'm like, how did I not know?
Yeah.
Like, do you know how many relationships I would have done differently if I knew this?
Absolutely.
Well, it's time. Now it's time.
Absolutely. Now is the time. Well, I want to thank Dr. Nicole and Crystal so much.
Thank you.
It's always amazing. And I believe you're going to leave with more than one, because I've counted several things that I've learned just listening to this conversation. So I know when it's more intentional, it's going to be even more amplified. So like I said, I'm going to drop that into the chat, and we'll be sharing that throughout the week with everyone that wants to come back and make sure that they're tuned in for this opportunity. Thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you guys soon.
All right.
Appreciate you. Bye, Crystal.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, amazing conversation. I always get so much from Dr. Nicole and Crystal. They're an amazing team. It's amazing to see Black women come together and support each other with the goal of helping the rest of us, like helping the community. That's so powerful. So I appreciate you guys from listening. This chat was awesome. I didn't even get a chance to get into the chat because I wanted to get all the gems from the two of them. Stay tuned. We're going to come right back. Like I said, we have at 9:00. I'm going to check out. We're going to come right back with Kenneth from Put a Ring on It. So make sure you stay tuned, and I will see you, as Chuck Woolery used to say, in 2 and 2. All right. You guys have a great evening.